Ladies and gentlemen, Colby O'Brien.
Wow, that was a great. The first time that I was on here, you gassed me up big time. I'm glad that was a little bit more subtle that time.
I tried to give you like the boxing announcer intro, I guess. I never know how I'm going to introduce guests. That's the weird thing.
Well, this whole thing's kind of improvised, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what's cool about podcasting. It took me a while to kind of
get into the groove of it.
Yeah, because I was used to doing all the just normal radio stuff. That's why the people that don't know, you were the first guest of the Homegrown Happy Hour podcast. Now you're going to be the last guest of 2020. But the first episode, people can check it out. It was only 30 minutes because I didn't know how long to go. It was all
I was your
so
guinea
new.
pig.
You actually were,
I was your guinea
basically.
pig. I'm okay with that. That's good.
I didn't know how to make a cool graphic tile like all the other podcasts do. We were still figuring it out, and it's came a long way. But it all started with you, man.
Well, you and I assume Alex and Wayne and whoever else at Gearheart. You all are the brains of it. I'm just the subject, like I said. But that was a lot of fun that first time.
Yeah, man.
It went really well. I remember you were nervous. I mean, I was nervous. I get nervous anytime I do this kind of thing because I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm just a goofball, So
it's weird how you have to be so nervous to talk nowadays. Trust me, man. Every single day, every time I do this or on stage or whatever, you have to be so careful about what you say, and it sucks, man.
Whenever on stage, there's been a few shows I suck at talking to the audience because I'm so full of adrenaline from playing that I'm just here we go, we're getting tongue tied, just kind of firing off at the mouth. And there was one show, the old saying, bleeding like a stuck pig. Yeah. Well, there was one time I was like, it's so hot up here, I'm sweating like a stuck pig. And everybody turned around looking at each other like, what did he just say? And I didn't realize it till after the show. My best friend was like, dude, you sounded like an idiot up there. I'm like, it's okay.
Most of the time, people are too intoxicated to care.
Oh, well, I'm not. But you're talking about the people in the audience. Yeah.
And that's funny too, man, because I've had some gigs where they did not go good, and you'll be on the way home and just beating yourself to death.
Yeah.
But I guarantee if you were to ask anybody in that crowd if they remember any of that or remember these certain points that you think you done horrible or messed something up, they probably don't remember. Yeah, they're good. It's just, man, the drive home on some of those bad gigs like that,
it's awful.
So long.
Yeah.
It's a long drive home.
But the gigs that do go well, it's oftentimes whenever I'm done, I'm not ready to be done, And especially if I knew that I was playing really well that night, I'm like, I just want to go back out there and just keep going because I know those hot streaks don't happen every night, you know what I mean? But the drive home from great gigs, oftentimes, I don't know if you remember back in January when we did the fundraiser, January at the Mac.
Yeah.
And I brought in I brought my band in from Nashville, but I also brought a few of my friends from Nashville just to tag along. There was 9 of us. We rented a big Sprinter van, and we all loaded up and headed to Kentucky. And we the show went great, and we went home and we had a great time that night.
Yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
There you go.
So, it's inspiring, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. It's inspiring when you have a good gig to let loose and I've for years, when I first started playing music, I would beat myself up really badly whenever I would even make one mistake on stage. But now, if I mess up, I just laugh about it while I'm playing because I know, dude, it's live music. All those mess ups are where the magic is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
you got to have fun with it, man. I've told some jokes that make people walk out of the room. And it used to be like that. Whenever I first started, that would bother me. I'd be like, I shouldn't have said that, maybe.
Yeah.
But now, it's funny to me. I have a great time with it. Like, yeah, bad shows, it's all your perception, man. You can have a good time still if you want to, because their opinion doesn't matter. If you're still getting paid anyway, have a good time while you're up there. Who cares?
Well, I mean, obviously you want to like make people happy, but your situation
happy.
Your situation is a bit different than mine. Like, comedy is kind of a no holds barred. What is that the right word? No holds barred.
Yeah, that would be good.
Like, I mean, oftentimes, like, especially if you're going to a club comedy gig, like, you're probably going to get picked on at some point or that kind of thing. Like, I've watched videos of comedians like dealing with hecklers and so on, and it's but with music, like, people are coming to, they don't want to hear somebody that sucks. You know what I mean? I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, the only heckling y'all get is like play Freebird. Like that. But even like, see what I try to do whenever like a gig is going badly or anything, like it's not that I don't want to make everybody happy or like I just don't care or whatever. It's I know that I have the crowd there that are actually enjoying it.
Right.
And for those one or two people that are the bad apples. Yeah, who cares?
It's like, bye-bye. See you later.
let them walk out or let them give you a bad face. Who cares? There's somebody in that room that is enjoying it. You find who that is and play for them. Man.
Absolutely. That's a huge thing, man. A lot of people. That was another thing. I mean, obviously, all these things are concepts that we adapt to or learn about as you gain experience. You know, like I was a young musician once, and like I said, I would beat myself up over one missed note, or if there wasn't hardly anybody there, I was like, freaking out. But like now, dude, if there's even one person there wanting to listen to you, play to them and give them like every bit of that effort that you would give a room full of people, you know?
Yeah. I've said it before, man. Sometimes the small gigs can be the best ones. Like where they're a little bit more intimate, you know, and I don't know, there's just a different vibe that you get from just a room full of 30, 40 people. It's a great feeling, man.
Yeah. It's, I've about 30, 40 people. Well, at the max, that's probably the biggest thing that I've done, but I really enjoy the little club gigs, that kind of thing. There have been a few gigs down in Nashville that are just a ton of fun.
I've been I don't really keep up with the news as much as I've really unplugged, but I've seen a few things out of Nashville, man. It's a crazy scene down there now.
Yeah. There's some live shows still going on. I did play, before I came home, I played a songwriters round at a place called Belcourt Taps down there, and it's a really small place. I wore my mask and all that, of course. That's a big reason why, because like I said, live music is still a thing down there right now. It's not as much as it usually is, but there are still gigs available, but I don't want to be amongst a bunch of people right now, especially with, my family and that kind of thing.
Whenever you have people that you have to be careful around, your point of view and your perception of this whole thing is totally different.
Right.
Like I was telling you before we hopped on air, I haven't done a show in more than a year. It just now passed a few days ago. It's been more than a year. And, I mean, the options are available there, but I'm just not. I've got family, man, and I've even lost somebody to this during this whole thing. And whenever stuff like that happens, it just you take a step back. But even me and you, like we're talking about before we hopped on air, we're optimistic because there's a lot of good things going on now with all of that, and hopefully around early next year it'll be semi-normal.
We've talked about a lot of politically related stuff, haven't we?
Yeah.
Let's talk about some music.
Let's talk about it. So, okay. Is there anybody that you were looking forward to sing this year? Did you have tickets that were...
I didn't have any tickets, but I definitely was going to go see Motley Crue. I saw them on their final tour.
I did too. I went to the Louisville show.
Yeah, well, me too.
Nice.
I saw that one and the Cincinnati one on that tour. But I don't know if it would have happened this year, but, everybody knows EVH, Eddie Van Halen, passed away.
Yeah.
And that really sucked and sucks still. But I saw Wolfgang, his son, did an interview. I don't know. I think he mentioned it on the Howard Stern show that there was a very, very good possibility that they called it the kitchen sink tour, was going to happen, where they brought DLR, Sammy Hagar, and even Gary Cherone all for this one big tour, that they would have played all the different eras of music during the show. Yeah. And that would have been unreal to see.
Who was it that didn't want that? Was it Sammy or Eddie?
No,
not
Eddie was
not Eddie, but David.
I don't know.
Sammy or Dave didn't want it. I remember reading that story, and God, it ticked me off, dude.
It probably was Dave.
I think it was.
I don't know, but from what I could tell and what Wolfgang had to say, it was. I mean, from what I could tell, everybody was on board with it. It was just Ed's health, plus the pandemic, but mainly Ed's health, of course. Man, that sucked.
Yeah, dude, it's still unreal to think about. Like it seems like somebody like that is still here. You know.
Well, I mean, he still is.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, because all the music and that kind of thing. But before he passed. I mean, I've always been a Van Halen fan, but when he passed, I really did my first ever deep dive into their stuff. And since October 6th, that's pretty much all I've listened to is Van Halen. And I guess the reason for it, what we have is all we're ever going to get now. You know what I mean?
Man, that's deep. I like that, though. It's deep.
So all those records and videos and everything, it's, for a lack of a better term, not sacred, but you know what I mean.
It's got
we're
a
not
going to
get it anymore. So, and if you really sit down and truly listen to what's going on, it's kind of crazy. I mean, the man was our Beethoven or our Mozart or whatever.
I mean, he named his son Wolfgang, so that's
yeah. But that hit really hard. It didn't hit me until a few weeks down the road, but I had my one good cry about it, and then moved on.
It's amazing how art can touch people like that too. Yeah. I mean, somebody that you've never met, you've never even seen before in your entire life in person, has that much of an impact on you. It's a special thing, man. That's what really keeps me going, because I don't have an ego or anything like that. I don't do it for money or anything. It's whenever you hear even with people, little people like us, sometimes you can, when you have those special moments with people.
Oh, yeah.
And man, it just means the world.
Yeah.
It's what a great name Wolfgang is, though. Can you imagine that being your name?
Wolfgang.
How much of a bad
not just Wolfgang, but Wolfgang Van Halen. Dude.
Man. Dude, can you imagine how I can't use the word, how much of a bad butt he felt imagine writing your name in school.
Right?
Wolfgang Van Halen.
And his nickname is Wolfie. I think that's kind of cool too. But
no nickname. Wolfgang.
Just Wolfgang.
You call me Wolfgang.
Or Wolf.
Wolfgang. No, it's the full thing.
You just want the whole thing. It don't matter.
It's like a Tribe Called Quest. You got to say the entire thing. They didn't go by just Tribe. It was a Tribe Called Quest. Wolfgang Van Halen. I'd make them say Van Halen too. That's Eddie. Yeah. Well, I know I just said Eddie, but you said Eddie Van Halen. You had to say the entire thing.
Some people say Edward Van Halen. I like Eddie though.
Is his real name Edward?
Edward. Yeah, it's Edward, and I can't pronounce his middle name. It's
That's why he gave his son such a cool name, because he got so much crap growing up from his.
I don't know.
Hello, Edward. Hi, Edward. Can you imagine rocking out and your name is Edward? Nobody's going to take you serious.
Hey, dude, he made it cool though. He made everything about the guitar cool.
Oh yeah, well that's probably why he had to call his name, say his name was Eddie though. Yeah. Eddie's a lot cooler than Edward.
I don't know. But that's another thing, dude. There's a lot of people, a lot of inspirational people that have passed in 2020.
See, man, the thing, This is another thing that sucks with losing some. Well, the thing is too, like these are the people that we grew up listening to, you know, and of course we're going to have a lot more of these as we go. Yeah. I mean, heck, all of the classic rockers that we grew up listening to, they are on the final steps, and it's just happening so much and so often nowadays that I can't even keep up with it. I know that we've lost a lot of people, but it's hard to even remember who they are. I remember that one guy, Fred, I forget his name. He was kind of a comedian actor. You ever seen the movie How High?
No.
Never mind. He was in there.
I don't watch movies typically.
I'm going to see famous people we've lost in 2020. But like I said, man, I guess it's getting to the point where I can't keep up with it. Charlie Pride, Charlie Pride was the other day. And Alex Trebek, man, that was the big one.
Didn't Charlie Daniels pass?
Yep.
And John Prine?
Yeah, and the Charlie Daniels, that broke my heart, man, because I grew up in Georgia. Devil went down to Georgia.
You grew up in Georgia.
Yeah, a lot of my life. And like Devil went down to Georgia, that was like our national anthem down there, basically. Yeah. But I remember my mom showing me, it was back in cassette tapes. She had a cassette tape. And Long-Haired Country Boy. I remember hearing that for the first time and just relating to it so much, and like just thinking it was such a cool song. And they came to the expo last year, and I had to work that night or something. I didn't get a chance to go, and I'm like, but I'm gonna get it again. I'm gonna get it again, and I'm never gonna get it again. That one right there, that broke my heart, man. I always wanted to see Charlie Daniels, but
that man, Eddie is the first like celebrity or whatever that has affected me since he's only the second one, but the first one was Michael Jackson. I was a kid, bro, and I had just discovered him, and I was really into it. And I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see him someday. And then I remember like where I was, what I was doing, and I was probably like 12 or 13 at the time, maybe younger. I don't know the math, but I remember I'd just come home from a University of Kentucky baseball camp because, you know, I used to play sports, and then I got into high school and it's just all music. But went to a baseball camp, had just got home and turned on the TV, and that's the first thing I saw. And I just ran to my room, shut the door, and started crying.
Yeah, man. That was the king of pop right there.
Yeah.
I was looking at some pictures of him earlier because I told somebody a joke that I'm not going to tell on air. But MJ, that was, I remember where I was too. I was sitting in front of the computer in my sister's room. I had to use her computer at the time growing up. And yeah, I remember exactly where I was. I remember like the time of day it was. It was like, it had to be like right around 5 o'clock. Right. That's weird. There's certain places, there's certain times in your life where you remember exactly where you were, like 9/11. A lot of people remember exactly where they were during that time. One of the first ones that really got me, I guess, recently was Mac Miller. Yeah, I grew up listening to that guy's music so much. And I remember listening to watching movies with the sound off, thinking that's one of the best albums I've ever heard in my entire life. I loved Mac Miller growing up. He was one of the most creative artists the up-and-coming popular pop artist, creative, let's say that. And, I remember exactly where I was. My wife, she's the one that came in and told me it's like my world stopped. Yeah. And it's just, it don't even seem real. Yeah. Yeah, man.
I've got one of my good friends in Nashville. He really enjoyed Mac Miller a lot, and I never listened to him. It's just not my cup of tea as far as that genre goes. Yeah. But he touched a lot of people. Yeah, man. So,
what was your favorite MJ song?
Oh, dear.
Mine's, what was that one they done with Justin Timberlake? Love Never Felt So Good. Love Never Felt So Good.
That's kind of interesting choice.
Dude, I love that song. Ooh, baby.
If I had to pick one to listen to for the rest of my life, probably there's this. It wasn't a hit. I don't believe it was on the Bad album. It's Another Part of Me. It grooves hard. That's probably my favorite MJ song. That one, or I've always loved Earth Song.
That's a good one.
Because it's just like near the end, like Michael, he just starts taking you to church, and it's
man.
You just want to clap along to it. And, I mean, I cry when I listen to it every so often because it's just a powerful thing. Because what a voice, what a talent.
It's almost like he was an alien. Kind of looked like it towards the end there. That dude was, but that's another thing too. Like, I don't know if you can be normal and be great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Michael Jackson, he was a great example. That dude was off his rocker when it came to some things that he'd done in life. But we're sitting here talking about him today, that he's one of the greatest to ever do it and will ever be the greatest. I don't know if you can have a pop artist that will ever be as big as Michael Jackson.
I would even go as far to say, I don't think you could have a pop artist without Michael Jackson. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, the dude could literally do anything. He was making pop when it wasn't like when pop music didn't exist.
Right.
If that makes sense to some people.
That's kind of the same thing with Van Halen. They started the 80s 2 years earlier.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I mean, they were always kind of ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Nobody's making. You can name them off. Thriller, Man in the Mirror, Beat It, and the list goes on and on and on. Just hit after hit after hit. He didn't miss.
Well, yeah.
You had people fainting when they seen him.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's kind of like it was almost like a Beatlemania kind of thing.
Yeah. We're never going to get another one. Did you like? Who are you more of a fan of, Prince or Michael Jackson?
No, Michael for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one for me. I respect Michael and his. I think Michael had a much bigger influence, much bigger.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I can kind of.
I mean, you can be there's a few Prince songs that I like, but Prince I don't know, I really can't explain it. I just could never really get into him. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just one of those. It's one of those. It's just like I hate to keep referencing Van Halen, but it's like DLR or Sammy. It's like. You can't really knock either of them. It just depends on what your taste is,
Yeah. See, I respect Prince's come up because he was in the shadow of Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And he had to try to be as big or bigger than Michael. Prince would do some kind of messed up stuff. There was this one concert. It was like a James Brown concert or something, and. Just a bunch of famous musicians were on stage playing. Prince walks from the crowd. He's in the crowd. He walks up on stage, stops one of the guitar players, takes his guitar off of him, and tells him to go away, and goes right up in front of Michael Jackson, who's sitting in the front row of the audience, and starts wailing.
I've heard about that.
Him.
That's right.
Man, that is one of the most gangster things I've ever seen in music history. That's why, man, I respect both of them, but Prince, he had some guts, dude, and he had to try a lot harder too. Have you ever seen his the Super Bowl performance of his?
Now that is unreal.
It starts raining during Purple Rain.
I know.
That's how much God loved Prince. Okay, I'm telling you, that's no coincidence. I mean, that was the angels crying from heaven over how beautiful a performance that was.
I mean, it was impactful, and that was almost that is one of those things. It's like too perfect to be just a coincidence.
And here's how good Prince was whenever he done it. He was walking around that stage that was probably made of glass and metal.
On those platform shoes,
Yeah, high-heeled platform shoes and doing his thing. Man, Prince was awesome. You're not going to have musicians like that anymore. What did he do? He managed 28 instruments or something like that?
I don't know. I don't know how many of his albums he did completely on his own.
I think it was almost all of them.
Something like that.
Yeah, I've got a few of them at the house, and if you look at the back, it says written, performed, produced, composed by Prince.
Yep. And that is one of the things, even though I'm not necessarily a fan of him, but I admire him because that's a difficult thing to do. a lot of the things that I've been doing in the studio lately, I've been playing everything myself, and it's a really tedious and difficult process. It's a great process to use if you're wanting to maximize your creativity, because rather than trying to translate it to somebody else to be like, hey, I want you to do this, you can just do it yourself. But then there's other times, like I just recently released a cover of Still of the Night by Whitesnake.
Yeah, man.
And on that, I had a guy named Ray Salyer play bass on that, because I wanted somebody. The song, the bass line in it is so crucial that if it's not just perfect, it's not going to do it justice. And I knew that Ray could do a lot more with it than I could. So I got him to do that, and he's unreal. And then I got one of my good friends from Nashville. He's actually the singer of the band I'm in Nashville. His name's Derek Sibbett. He came and did some backing vocals for me, just so it would add a different voice rather than me harmonizing with myself, But everything else, I did the lead vocals, I did the guitars and the drums, and didn't play keyboard, but I programmed all the strings and stuff on my computer.
Yeah.
And that's another thing.
Dude, I was going to ask you how the strings worked in that song.
I used to be so against, like, everybody's like, oh, they just make music with a computer and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize how difficult and tedious of a process that is. And you still have to have musical knowledge, because the way you program it, you've got a digital keyboard that you program the different notes on, so you at least have to have the knowledge of the keyboard,
Yeah.
Not like a keyboard or like a typing keyboard, but a piano.
Well, I would imagine, like, if you're using wind instruments, you have to even have, like, the composition knowledge, if that is the word that you use. I don't know. Just to know like what notes work.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and of course, I didn't write any of it. It's a cover, but still to recreate it is a task of its own.
But the way that you done it, I listened to it this morning before you came up, and man, like the thing that I like about the cover so much is that it sounds, you still done your own little twist on it, but it sounds so much like the original too, especially the breakdown. Like right there around the 3-minute mark or 4-minute mark, wherever the middle of the song is. That dun 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 dun. Wait, I got you.
Talking
now.
about
Do it again. Yeah. It sounds spot on. Like no. You couldn't have done that any better, man. Like it was, it was beautiful and such a powerful song.
It's awesome. I've loved it since the first moment I heard it.
I love the progressive era of classic rock. Whenever you had it was like the '80s, and like whenever people started making long songs.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's a long song. But the thing about it, when you listen to it, it doesn't feel like a long song, because it goes by quick, and that's a testament to
how good
Coverdale and John Sykes, their songwriting.
Yeah, man.
Because it's hard to keep people's attention for very long. I mean, most of the things on the radio, even still, it was the same then and it's the same now. Most radio is 3 minutes or less.
Yep.
And
I don't think that's – I know that there's certain rules in the industry, but I think that as we go by in life and you really see what's popular and stuff, I think that we realize how much of how much BS some of those rules are. Like the 3-minute rule, to me, that has always been BS because some of my favorite songs and some of the best songs of all time.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody. You have Freebird. I mean, Thriller, like the original 6 minutes or something like that. I mean, the greatest songs of all time that people consider the greatest songs of all time are nowhere near 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. The hits that are big for a month and then people forget about, that's what they're trying to push. And you have these people in suits and ties, 3-piece suits that don't even know how to handle an instrument, making stupid rules like that. It's unnecessary.
It's just that's one of the reasons why I decided to start double majoring now. I was just doing songwriting, but now I'm double majoring in music business as well. And that's one of the big reasons why I want to study the business, because it's really interesting to learn how all that stuff ticks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really useful knowledge.
Yeah.
And often, I mean, really, the reality of it is, like you said, the jobs of those suits are simply to make money.
Yeah.
That's all. And whatever is popular at the time is what's going to be pushed. That's why, bro country's kind of fading out right now.
Thank God.
But like for forever there, you had songs that had, like, it was just like a cookie cutter thing, man.
Yeah, they sing about the same exact stuff. They use the same exact chords. Yada yada yada.
Let me think. What's something I could?
Are you gonna play?
Okay, so like
Cruise?
for forever, like most songs sounded like.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's that same kind of rhythm, and pretty much every country song sounds like that, or like the popular country. But man, there's some really great stuff that I've heard. I mean, well, Chris Stapleton's new album, Starting Over, I think completely blows away Traveler.
I can see that. Like Traveler just has that. There's this thing with artists with me, like the first time that whatever album that I hear first, I'm always going to like that album more. But Starting Over is the best thing since Traveler.
For sure. Yeah, I can agree with that.
I wasn't a big fan of like the Volume 1, the Sitting in a Room, whatever it was called.
I enjoyed them, but Starting Over, like the thing I really enjoyed about it is he really didn't care what anybody thought. He put out what he wanted to put out.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. The fans, real fans, I think, recognize stuff like that. You can tell because with the Volume 1, 2 thing that he done, he was going for hits. I know what he's doing. Like it's Broken Halos. I get it. 3-minute and 3-second song, perfect for radio. I get it. You make your money. That's good. But for the people that they just lose their way, it's heartbreaking whenever you have a great musician like that does it. And I'm glad that he didn't keep that way, because whenever he started doing like collaborations with Pink, I was like, "What's going on here?"
But at the same time, I feel like the dude has the Midas touch. Like everything he puts his stamp on, like it's at least going to have some level of quality to it, just because. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah,
So
you know that Sturgill Simpson done a song with Kesha?
No.
Nobody talked about it. And with who's the dude out of the Beach Boys? Brian something.
I've never really gotten into the Beach Boys.
Dude, I loved the Beach Boys growing up. I almost seen them live whenever I was a kid, and me and my mom couldn't figure out where the venue was. I know people online are already commenting, but I don't know. I can't type that fast, people. Give me a break. Brian something.
I don't know. It's on the tip of my tongue. It just
says his first name again.
Oh, just Brian.
Yeah,
Brian from the Beach Boys.
Yeah, well, I guess they were like all brothers. The original group lineup consisted of brothers Brian, Dennis, and Wilson. Brian Wilson. Yeah, I just had to read the sentence there fully. But Brian Wilson, it's Kesha, Sturgill Simpson, and Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys.
What a lineup.
Yeah, and dude, like the song released, I think it was like earlier this year, and it just went under the radar. Nobody noticed it. And I was like, that's such a weird collaboration. Why isn't this any bigger?
Well, earlier this year, wasn't that when, for a long time, Old Town Road was a big thing?
Yeah. God
for a long
That's what started all of this. But you had Old Town Road, and things just went to hell after that. We opened up some portal that we just could not get closed. I don't know. It was good for the... No, it wasn't.
They did something right, man.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, man. It breaks my heart to see like something like that get so much more popular. And I know it's money. It's a majority of people are they don't care. I guess so many people just care about the beat nowadays.
Well, I think what happened with that particular song is it not only I mean, it started as a song, but then it became a meme. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, and that's what's happening with a lot of songs. Like the top 40 list that we play, I would say 10 of
TikTok
the top 40.
songs.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Yep. That's where they all come from.
Right.
You've had
That's where they at least get their popularity, because they do all the dances to them and that kind of thing. And
yeah.
but I mean, I'm not knocking that stuff either, because again, they're obviously doing something right. But it is kind of frustrating when you hear one thing on the radio that is just wildly popular, but then you go down to the local bar in Nashville and hear a band that is just absolutely slams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I think that like the music industry has it revolves. It's a big revolving door.
Oh yeah.
And like certain things get popular at certain times. Like in the 60s, it was folk. Then it went on to prog rock with people like Yes
Rush
and
and
Jimi
Yes
Hendrix and Rush. Yeah, all them people. Well, you had the folk, then you had psychedelic, you had prog rock, heavy metal, hair metal, all that came with the 80s.
Then grunge.
And then you had like grunge, and then hip hop and stuff. And now it's gotten to the pop music. And I think that it's about, and well, even before all that, you had like 40s and 50s with like the old bluegrass and folk, and not folk, but country people. And I think that it's about to do I think it's going to revolve again, because if you notice, like country music, like real country music, is getting popular. Like Sturgill, Tyler, Chris Stapleton, even you ever heard of Culture Wall?
Oh yeah,
that dude is awesome.
And that's Cody Jinks.
Yeah, and Billy Strings.
Yeah. Well, that's bluegrass, but like still,
but like all these people,
a lot of people know who that is. You know?
Yeah, and that's getting popular.
Yeah.
And I think that like it's just it's something that revolves.
The same thing I believe is happening with rock, because obviously I feel like a lot of people know who Greta Van Fleet is, and like you can have your opinion on them. Yeah, they sound like Led Zeppelin, but at the same time, they're still writing their own material. I've seen them live. Unreal show.
Where'd you see them live at?
In Nashville.
Cool, man.
Me and my best friend, we went just for the heck of it. He was down in Nashville visiting, and I was like, wonder what concerts are going on tonight. And I saw Greta was playing at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium. And I was like, let's go. And for them to be, I mean, they're all my age and younger, or a little bit older than, like 23, I think, is the oldest, Josh.
Oh,
and,
wow. I didn't know they were that young.
Yeah. And just the wall of sound, man. It was unreal. And so, yeah, they have very obvious influence, and I think they have denied that influence, and I think that's a lot of people's issue. Yeah. However, they're still talented, man.
Yes.
And they're making that kind of music kind of popular again. And then there's another band that's lesser known. You need to check them out. They're called Dirty Honey.
Yeah, dude. I've listened to a few.
Amazing band.
Whose wife is that? The lead singer?
I don't know.
Wait, is it a girl that sings?
No, it's not.
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking Honey's who I'm thinking of.
Okay, no. Well, their name's Dirty Honey, and
it's a great name.
I saw them live at first time I'd ever heard of them. I saw them. They were playing at like a 2:00 slot at Louder Than Life in Louisville in 2019. Was that? Yeah, it was 2019 in September, and. Dude,
that's where you got the COVID.
Holy crap. I mean, like, they're like a modern day Aerosmith is the way I look at it. But
really?
like, I mean, I love them. And so my point is, and they're gaining some traction too. They're not on the level that Greta Van Fleet is, but the point is that 70s rock kind of sound is gaining some traction, and I believe that guitar-driven rock or guitar-driven music is going to make a comeback within the next 10 years or so.
Yeah,
maybe not necessarily like the whole 80s with the spandex and stuff. I hope spandex never comes back.
You'll never wear any spandex?
Heck no.
God, I don't see
Dude,
how
I'd look like a busted can of biscuits in a pair of spandex. But the point is, I think, like you said, everything, it all comes around.
Yeah,
you know, fashion does the same thing. I don't know if it's still a thing, but at least a couple of years ago, men didn't get into it, but I remember seeing a lot of women start wearing bell-bottom jeans.
Bell bottoms are a thing now again.
Yeah.
I went into Walmart the other night, and my wife found a pair of pants that she liked, and I noticed they were bell bottom. Like, oh, that's cool.
And denim came back.
Yeah.
Big. A lot of people were wearing denim jackets and that kind of thing. And
I about put one on today,
dude.
man. Yeah.
I mean,
it's
great.
Good.
So, yeah, everything comes full circle at some point, and.
Greta Van Fleet said that they got their influence from Aerosmith.
Oh wow, no!
I watched an interview one time, and like they
probably have.
The interviewer brought it up. They brought up like the Led Zeppelin thing, and they're like, "Oh, we think that we sound like Aerosmith." And I'm like, "What? Like, do you listen?"
I mean,
but
I'm sure
you're the one. That is a great song. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite. Is it Greta Van Fleet?
Greta Van Fleet.
Yes. That's I can't tell you how many times I said Greta. Probably before I learned like how to pronounce their actual name, and even now I'm not very sure. But you have like even people like John Mayer, Gary Clark Jr.
Yeah,
they're kind of bringing that guitar sound back, and I've noticed.
Well, John Mayer's always had a lot of guitar work in his stuff.
Oh yeah,
but it's a different kind of. I mean, obviously, like I'm a big advocate for rock because that's just my favorite genre, man. That's what got me into music. Like I remember. AC/DC was the first rock band I ever heard, but whenever I thought, okay, there's something to this, was whenever I discovered Kiss.
Yeah.
I'm not really into Kiss anymore, but they're the reason I began listening to rock music and playing music, because at one point I just played drums, and I would spend hours just playing Kiss songs on drums. But the way I got into all of that classic rock stuff, classic metal, you get on YouTube and I'm watching, I don't know, the music video for I Was Made for Loving You or whatever, right? And then in the suggested bar over here is Poison's Nothing But a Good Time. I'm like, who's this? I click on that. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Yeah. And then Rat pops up. I'm like, who's Rat? And I click on that. And it's Round and Round. And my mind's just blown. And then Whitesnake. Who's Whitesnake? It's just a big rabbit hole that you go down.
YouTube is great for that, man. I finally got like a new computer at my house, and I've been diving down them YouTube rabbit holes. It's easy, and you discover a lot of good stuff.
Dude, YouTube, it's so weird. You'll start. There was one night I think I started watching. I watch a lot of gaming videos, specifically like Call of Duty. I just hit the mic.
That's okay.
But like Call of Duty videos, and I ended up through the suggested bar watching this guy like feed a bunch of raccoons at his house or something like that.
Is that the old guy?
The old guy with like he's got a bunch of hot dogs and he's like, "All right, everybody, come over." And it's like 22 raccoons or something.
That's awesome, man.
But that was one of those moments I stopped. I'm like, how did I end up here?
Yeah, I do that every time. Like last night or the night before last, I was looking up the world's smallest country, which is like it's a place called Tuvalu out in the middle of the ocean. It's like almost microscopic. They have like 11,000 people living there. I know so many. Like I looked up stuff about Greenland and Iceland the other night. I went down rabbit holes of that. All of this useless information, but it's cool. Technology it's a big old yin and yang. You can get on the internet and start arguing about politics with people, or you can watch people feed raccoons or learn about the world's smallest country. Like I think that it's beneficial to dive down some of those rabbit holes.
I was going to say, I believe learning about the world's smallest country is definitely a little bit more useful than watching a guy feed raccoons. But you said,
but you
said useless information. But I don't think that any information is useless.
Yeah, because we brought it up here. This was something fun to talk about.
All of the things that we've experienced in life and watched on YouTube and whatever, like it all gets stored up here somewhere and becomes a part of who you are. Like if it wasn't for some of the gamers I watched growing up on YouTube, and then some of like my friends is the biggest part of it, but like a lot of that stuff, you can find it, or it's no different than musical influences. I'm a big Eddie Van Halen fan. I do a lot of that kind of stuff on guitar. it just becomes a part of who you are, and it will come out in one way or another, and you can find that influence in whether it's like your favorite comedians, I'm sure, are somewhere within your own comedy, you know?
Yeah.
And that useless information, like, that's why a lot of people just read books. Doesn't have to have any particular reason for reading it or whatever. It's still going to add to your intellect. That's the correct word. So,
and it's good to use your brain like that too. It's good to give your brain exercises.
Oh yeah.
And also, I mean, information overload is a big problem for some people. But if it's beneficial information or just information that is fun, like a raccoon video or something like that, I would much rather watch that than sit in front of the TV and watch the news 24/7. The people that do that, those are the ones that are going crazy right now.
Well, I mean,
and it's good to have good information, but you need to learn to shut it off after so long. You know,
it's okay if you can do that, and like my grandmother watches the news 24/7. Well, not 24/7. She'll watch old movies every now and then, but like she watches the news a lot. And I tell her all the time, I'm like, "Mammy, please, you watch something else because it's just
it's sensationalism after a while." I mean, 95% of the news stories on mainstream news networks have nothing to do with your own personal life. It's just something that gets you riled up. Like, I'm not going to say the name, the family member or anything, but whatever. Like, somebody called me up, and we got to talking about just what was going on in the news, yada, yada, yada. And they were talking about how there was this hospital somewhere, and a group of protesters or something was stopping people from entering the hospital, something like that. I don't know. This is months ago. And they were so mad about it, going off and saying this is wrong, yada, yada, yada. And I said, are they doing that at PMC? Are they doing that at ARH? No. This is in a totally different state, thousands of miles away, and makes no difference in your life. Right. Why do you care so much? And they didn't know what to say. And that's why it's good to unplug. I mean, worry about what's going on in your own city, in your own neighborhood, in your own town, in your own county, and in your own dang life. Yeah. Goodness. More people know.
Facebook is just a swamp right now.
And again, like something like that, it's all about how you use it. See, I go on Facebook and I watch. Like, I subscribe to people's channels that I think are interesting, and I'll watch their videos, just read what they're posting about. I'll find funny stories or something like that, read about them. And I've also, like, I've unfollowed a lot of media publications, and there's a thing that you can do on there. I've already forgot how to do it. But you can put, like, you can see people's posts more often.
Yeah.
And I've done that with all the family members that, like, close family and friends to me. Yeah. So I'll see all of their stuff versus all the BS that they try to get you to care about that you shouldn't in the first place. Well, it's all about how you use it.
The way I look at it is, I mean, I understand being what's the word, passionate about a certain thing. And there are certain issues in the world that need talked about.
Yeah.
You know, however, there are people who just sit on Facebook and scroll and literally just look for something to get in an argument with somebody about.
Yeah.
And there was one time I put a post on Facebook that I'm not going to mention what it was necessarily about, but it was kind of, a controversial thing.
I think I remember that.
Well,
I think
it was. I ended up deleting it because there were so many people that took it out of context and spun my words around on me, and I politely dealt with it because I never want to get in Once you start insulting people, you've lost all credibility, man.
Yeah.
But the reason I deleted the post is because there were people arguing with each other, had nothing to do with the post, nothing to do with me. They were just using my post as a thread for them to argue with each other, and it got really nasty, man. And I deleted it, and it's honestly disgusting how low some people can get.
Well, the problem with social media, how people engage in that, is how they engage. You're just reading a status,
and you're not face to face.
No, you're not. You don't know exactly how that person is wording it, how they're saying it,
the tone, the character behind it.
Yes, exactly.
They interpret it the way they assume you. They interpret it the way that their mind has already made it up.
And that's a big problem, because that's how you get people mad like that. That's why I love podcasting. I love it, because you're face to face, you're interacting, you're locked in. I have to look at you and I talk to you. There's no looking at our phones, none of that. Mm-hmm. And with this, you have a way that you can actually explain yourself or your point of view or whatever.
Right.
It's more people. Well, of course, not with a pandemic going on, but there needs to be more face-to-face interaction than all of this keyboard warrior stuff that's going on the internet. And in some people, it's become an addiction.
Yeah.
That like they don't even care about what they're arguing about. They want to argue just to argue. Yep. And people need to find those negative influences in their life like that.
Find something better to do.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah, like I said, see, I just been looking up like you said, not all information is useless. I like how you said that. So I've been looking up information on Google, just just little crazy stuff. So whenever I'm at a family place or something like that, and I have some relatives arguing about whatever, I can just go hey, did you know that you can pay $300 to $700 for a pet raccoon?
Yeah.
I just learned that. We were talking about raccoons, and
change the subject.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the time, you get a very weird look from those people, but it's a good energy.
I mean, and honestly,
I want a pet raccoon now. It's only $300.
It's very hard for people to talk about controversial things such as politics. Well, that it doesn't get heated because most of the time you're not going to change a person's mind.
No.
Unless they're going into that discussion with the heads, the mindset that this is going to be a discussion for my own personal knowledge. Here's you're not going to change anybody's mind, and they're not going to listen to you unless they have intentions of listening to you.
Yeah.
And nobody does that. But there are some things that I agree with and some things that I don't. And it's I try to look at all different sides. Mm-hmm. Some things are just some things are just they don't even deserve a thought. But
yeah,
you know what I'm trying to say.
I get exactly what you're saying, and people need to be. There's this comedian that I love, and a lot of the young people don't know him, but a lot of the older folks do. George Carlin. To me, he's one of the greatest to ever do it, man. That man's philosophy about how the world worked was spot on. More people need to know who George Carlin is. But he had this one philosophy that you have to learn not to give a dang. I'll say that. Yeah. He used a much bigger, badder word. But and I look at that as wrong. I think that you need to care in life. You don't need to say, I don't care about what's going on. I'm just going to be oblivious to what's happening around me. You need to be careful about what you care about. You really need to pick and choose your own battles.
Right.
And that's, some people just, I think we'll get back to it eventually.
I think the biggest thing is you need to be open-minded. Well, because none of us have all the answers.
Well, we need to talk more in person. See, like how we're all engaging over social media, the way that we're going about it. It's not normal. This is not how human beings are supposed to interact. Back in the day, whenever you had to take the subway or you just were in line at the grocery store and you didn't have a phone to distract you, you had to talk. You had to. That's what you had to do. And you had more. I think I don't know if you had more understanding or anything, but
there was definitely more human interaction.
Yeah,
like face to face.
Yeah, and I think that that's necessary. And how we're interacting most of the time nowadays is not the way we're supposed to be going about it. And I think that that's creating a lot of the problems that we're talking about. And hopefully after this pandemic, we can get back to that.
Yeah. I mean, we could sit here and go on and on about all the fallacies in our society, you know.
Yeah.
But there's still, like we were saying earlier, you know, with the pandemic, awful year, but there's still a positive to be found in it, you know. And
well, like I was saying, it's all about how you use it, you know.
It's about perspective. It really is.
Yeah, and whenever it comes to social media, another thing that I've learned to do is I post and ghost. Like I'll
post something, then you're just you don't get back on it until you're ready to post.
I'm done. Yeah. Like I've done a thing like I'll get whenever I walk in the house, I'll make sure my couch is cleaned off, of course, but I just throw my phone on the couch, and it's away from me. I don't need it. The ringer's turned all the way up. If somebody tries to call me or text me, I'll hear it. I'll pay attention to it then. But until then, I don't want it anywhere near me. And you start to realize that whenever you unplug from the social media world, you'll realize that the actual real world is not as bad as they portray.
It really seems,
yeah. I mean, goodness gracious. It is, you get online and the world's going to hell. But I mean, heck, you walk out here and it's not as bad as it is out there, folks. You got to live in the real world.
Yeah. That's a big thing. I've had lots of discussions with people. I'm like, listen, there's always been something to be worried about. There's always been some kind of controversial thing going on. There's always some kind of mess going on in this world. But if you just sit and, like you were saying, people who just watch the news 24/7, that's all they do is talk about these negative things, you know? Like it literally makes it seem like the world is coming to an end.
Yeah, and
but it's not.
No, it's not.
It's really not.
It's far from it, man. We've all lived through very bad times in the world, and this is just another one of them. And eventually, we're going to get over it, you know. But yeah, I've really tried to just unplug from social media and get back in the real world and find some productive, creative stuff to do in your own life. Maybe find a new hobby, you know, find something else you're good at, do something around the house, just something productive. Because the social media and the technology is great and all, but it can have a real bad negative impact after a while. You need to learn to unplug.
For sure.
It's important. What are your plans for 2021, man? You got any dude, I haven't seen one person say like, "Oh, new year, new me. 2021 is going to be my year." We're all just, we'll see how it goes.
It's because it's just kind of up in the air right now. You
we'll see how it goes.
Honestly, I mean, because like you said earlier this year, we would have never seen any of this coming. So it's like, is 2021 going to be okay?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, other than I've got another semester of school. The band I'm in Nashville, we're going to try to get some music released and do a few things with that. But really, it's just up in the air. I know I'm happy with where I am. That's the biggest thing for me. That 2020 has been really been a year of mental health. 2019 really sucked for me. At least the first half of it.
Yeah.
Really bad, like rock bottom bad. And I'm telling you, man, just really and truly moving to Nashville is one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, because I just figured a lot out about myself, and I'm a different person than what I was then.
Yeah.
And so even through all this crap, I've been able to keep my this inner peace with myself, because you can't be the best person you can be to other people if you're not happy with who you are. And I finally found that in myself, and it's a big part of that has been all this time of reflection in 2020. And, I've learned and come to the realization that like sculpting your life to the image that other people think it should be is like a meaningless existence.
Yeah.
If you march to the beat of somebody else's drum, what are you doing? So I think the biggest points in life are to just be an honest person and like be genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I work on every day. I like to think that I'm pretty consistent with that, but I'm not perfect. And I realize that just like with playing guitar, like there's always something to learn, man.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think that you've reached a certain point, there's you can go further,
Yeah.
So, and you can apply that to everything.
It's good that you're working on it, though, because a lot of people, they'll go through life and just not care about how they treat people or their point of view on something or whatever. It's so important to keep working on yourself. And I'm glad that mental health it's so much more talked about than it ever has been before. Back in the day, it was just suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah,
it's
awful, dude.
Life is tough. Keep on going. That's not the way to go about things. We're all human beings. We have emotions. Even animals have emotions. Whenever your dog gets sad or something, you comfort your dog. You need to be the same way about human beings. And I love how people are talking about this more and more. It's I would like to think that the human race is not as bad as it is. I would like to think that more than half of the human population, they just want what's good for the entire people. I like to think that most people are better than what they proclaim to be. And I don't forgot where I was going with that.
I can.
What were we even talking about?
I had a thought too, and you made me forget what that thought was.
We have fun. It's the last day of 2020, man. Oh yeah, mental health. It's it's the last day of 2020, dude. We're all running on fumes. But I just love how it's being talked about so much more. And I would like to think that's where I was going. I would like to think that human beings, a majority of us, are still truly good people that want nothing good for everybody else. And that not tomorrow or the next year, but a few years down the road, we'll be more compassionate towards one another. And I think that the talk about mental health is the first really big step that we can take into making our society more compassionate, caring place.
I think that the big key to that, and it's because it's how it's worked for me. Like your biggest strength.
Strength. I think.
Why am I having trouble with this?
Strength. I know what you're trying to say.
Anyway, the strength is found in those lowest points, man, because that's when you learn the most. And it's like a lot of people, I really enjoy, granted, I'm not going to dive into all my personal matters here because, it's a public thing, but if off the record, I would tell you, I could totally be fine telling you about my struggles as a person because in a weird way, those things, those experiences, the bad experiences a person goes through, to me, is one of the proudest things because you can talk about that and be like, hey, I overcame that. Mm-hmm. And look where I am now.
Yeah.
Like I've said, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. And I've been happy for close to a year now. Good, man. Literally, I'm just a different person, man. There's no other way to explain it. And the big part of that is coming to terms and being okay with who I am, whether that's, when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm angry. Mm-hmm. and realizing that emotions are okay to feel, and just because I'm a man, I don't give a crap. I'll cry if I feel like I need to. Well, we're human.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. We are human. And whenever that's one thing like that has bothered me whenever I have those little moments is I feel like I'm all alone. I'm like, oh, why me? It only happens to me. Yada, yada, yada. Whenever you hear people talking about their experiences, or you hear a sad song or whatever, you just realize that, hey, I'm not alone. This person went through something that I'm going through, or something that's similar. They got through it too. Maybe I can see how they done that. Yada, yada, yada. It's so important to talk about the bad times.
It's and when somebody, for me, it's a humbling thing when somebody chooses to trust me with those details of their life, because like that takes a lot of courage to do, to tell somebody like, hey, I'm not okay, and
it's okay not to be okay.
And it's really humbling for me, because it's not something that I take lightly, because again, I've been in a place that a lot of people have been, but they never talk about it. How did we get on this topic of mental health?
I don't even know.
We have talked about some serious stuff today. We've not even talked about music hardly. This is like the Joe Rogan podcast or something. I don't know, man. But I don't know.
Well, but it's important. I think that the conversations like this, I know some people may view them as controversial or whatever, but it's so important to talk, to communicate. And we start realizing that we have more in common than we do that separates us. Yep. It's so important to talk. And that's what's such a shame whenever it comes to topics like we're talking about. Like, why should mental health be such a controversial topic? It doesn't even make sense in the grand scheme of things.
I think it's because it's such a sensitive thing that one, people don't know how to handle it when it's brought up. Like,
but I just think that like problems like that can be solved through actually talking about it.
But it's just a scary thing, man. It took a lot of work for me to be able to talk about my feelings, but like now, I can either do it through song, or I can just sit here and be like, hey, I'm happy, or whatever, like. But
somebody might be listening to this out there and relating to whatever it is that you're talking about, and they get that sense that I'm not alone. Yeah. And that is such a beautiful feeling to give somebody. Yeah. And I like how you said about like, whenever you're at rock bottom, all you can do is go up. I think that's such an important mindset. One thing that really stuck out to me, Janis Joplin's Bobby McGee. I don't know why I can't remember the name of the word. But in one of the lyrics in that song is, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Ooh. Oh, such a good line, man.
But it's true.
And it's so true. Because, whenever you're at rock bottom, like I said, the only way you can go is up. You got nothing left to lose. Go for it, and whatever it is.
And I also believe, like, I guess if you're fortunate enough, you must be an alien if you only hit rock bottom once in your life. But like, there's times in life like it's really hard, but you can't be afraid of that, because it's gonna happen, and all you can do is just buckle up and get ready for the ride. But keep in mind, like, it'll pass, just like this pandemic. It'll eventually pass. My mom has always told me, this too shall pass. Yeah. I mean, that sounds kind of Shakespearean with the language that it uses. This too shall pass, or something.
But she's totally
right. But it's the truth, and there's and
an important thing to remember too is somebody out there's got it much worse.
Well,
there's somebody out there that's running away from a line right now.
Running away from a lion, and I guess when you put it that way,
we're a lot more better off than somebody running away from a lion.
That I'm gonna kind of push back against you for once here on that thing, because think this is turned into a whole PSA for mental health. But I'm passionate about it. I mean, at one point, I was a psychology major.
Really?
So I love this kind of stuff, man. Whenever I've been at my lowest, and I believe everybody can relate to this, everybody hates, oh, it could be worse. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess once you finally get through all this fog and reflect on it, yeah. Like, I get cracked up at myself all the time for thinking about when I was in rock bottom, why I was in rock bottom. Like, why in the world did I let myself get to that point? It's like nothing compared to this whole big picture that life is. But whenever you're going through that kind of thing, your world... It doesn't. I mean, sure, it could be worse. But when you're going through that, what you're dealing with at that time is the worst thing that could be happening to you. It's there's no way to explain it unless you've experienced it. Whether it be somebody losing a job, your first heartbreak. I mean, everybody remembers their first heartbreak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just your first heartbreak, and you're going to go through that many more times. Well, maybe many more times in your life. But it's like it's just a heartbreak. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though it's such a minuscule thing, you as say your first heartbreak is at 14 years old, you think your whole life is coming to an end. And whenever you're so bogged down with those negative thoughts, it's hard for people. It's hard for you to think logically, and that's why it's so important to make sure people understand they're not alone. They can talk to people, but you don't want to push too hard on that either, because you also get really sick and tired of hearing, "Oh, if you need anything, come talk to me." It's like, if I want to talk, I'll talk to you. I would rather hear somebody say, "Look, I got your back if you need it, but just know I'm here, but I'm going to let you figure this out on your own," because that's really the only way certain things, like, there's nothing that anybody can do for you. You just have to ride it out. Time is the only thing that can heal that kind of thing, and that's the reason why people struggle with it. I believe struggle with it so badly is that time is one of the only things that we can't control at all. And I don't care. It's basic human instinct to want to have some kind of control over their emotions and that kind of thing. And I believe that's why a lot of people turn to alcoholism and that kind of thing, because that's something they can physically do to suppress what they're feeling. Not fix, but suppress. And it's this whole big thing, man. It's so much.
Well, whenever I reflect and I look at times in my life where I wasn't doing as good or I was depressed, whatever, I realized too that sometimes I would make the situation so much worse.
You overthink it
in my mind, than it actually is.
And that's because, like I said, when you're in that spot mentally, like, you don't think logically. So again, no, it couldn't be worse for me right now. That's how I feel, and that's just the reality of it, The whole "it could be worse" can come later whenever you're looking back on it, and that's when you do all the reflection and learn from that experience. My rock bottom, I'm so thankful to have gone through what I did. Because it changed me. I became stronger from it. I learned a lot, and
I think that's what's going to happen to a lot of people that's went through this year.
Oh, yeah.
We've all learned something that we can do differently, or a different point of view about something or whatever. You can use 2020 to your benefit, and that's what I think a lot of people hopefully will do. I think that we all figured out something that we can do
It's
differently.
about that silver lining, man. There's a positive in everything.
You just got to find it. It's literally in everything.
It's
I mean, you have,
and it's hard. It's hard to do that. You have to. It takes a lot of work to get to that point, especially if you're sucked in on social media and stuff, and you're just. It's all about what you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with positive people, you're going to be a positive person. If you surround yourself with negative people, you're going to be a negative person.
Yeah.
That's just basic. That's just how it is.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, if you stand next to fire, you're going to get burnt. It's all about what you surround yourself with. It's the music that you listen to. It's the movies that you watch. It's the video games that you play. It's the people that you surround yourself with. I used to love playing Grand Theft Auto. That was my thing. I loved Grand Theft Auto. But I just started, like, noticing, like, what I was doing on that game. And, like, just, you know, like, and I was just wondering, like, is this a positive thing? You know, like, is this really how I should be spending my time? Because sometimes, like, a game like that it's an easy time killer. 3 hours can go by and you don't even know it. And I took a step back from that, and I started doing more positive things instead of running over people or robbing banks or something like that. It's such a fun game. The radio on there is incredible.
Oh, yeah. Now, whenever I get on GTA, I just basically... I'm like, well, let's see if this vehicle can make it up Mount Chiliad or something like that.
I do the same thing, yeah.
I just drive around and jump over mountains and stuff.
Have you ever done the director mode on there?
No.
Dude, you can, and this is on any game. I've had this game for years, and I just now found this. You can press select, and there's the little director mode. You go into that, you can pick any character that you want to, and you can build ramps. If you want, like, you can put like, I went to Mount Chiliad and I put like ramps on top of each other and like jumped off of it. It was awesome. It's such a fun game, but you have to. I think that everybody needs to self-reflect every single day.
Yeah.
You need that time where you're away from everybody, you're shut out of reality, and you really focus on your life. Because I think that's. Like you were saying earlier about how the pandemic kind of made everybody stop there for a second. Mm-hmm. We needed that a lot. I needed it, man. The way I was going about life and the people I surrounded myself with and working way too much, it was not healthy.
Yeah.
And this year helped me realize a lot of that. So I'm thankful for 2020 in that sense.
And the biggest thing, this has been one of... I don't even know. It might be the only thing that everyone, even celebrities, you see them posting videos from home and stuff. This is something we all have gone through together.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we've all got in common. And that's another way you could look at it. Like, we are all in this together.
It blew my mind to see people like Ellen. You know, it's like, oh, I'm alone in this mansion. I'm so sad.
Oh, yeah, she was being sarcastic because she was making fun of all the people, like the celebrities in their big mansions, and like, oh,
you have a basketball court.
Right.
You have a home movie theater.
Yeah.
You
got a playground, you know? Like
exactly. But you have a literal amusement park in your backyard. Go to your backyard. It was crazy. It was funny, though. But this year has been so wild, though. Like, it's not the worst year that I've ever been through by a long shot, but it is definitely the craziest.
Oh,
the government came out with, they said that aliens exist. And nobody cared. Nobody. You didn't hear crap about that. The Pentagon, literally, quote for quote, we have recovered vehicles that are not of this earth. That's what they said. And everybody...
It lasted for like a week.
Not even that. Like, it was like overnight it was gone.
Yeah.
Like the Epstein thing. That just got swept right under the rug. Nobody cared about it. That's how crazy this year was. The government told us that, hey,
there are
aliens. And everybody's like, toilet paper. It doesn't make any sense.
Dude, that's a whole thing. The toilet paper, like, that really ticks me off. Like, how greedy can you be to go to your local Walmart and
stock up.
Nobody needs that much toilet paper, man.
Dude, I know people that's had the coronavirus, and they didn't need to wipe their butt that many times. like you don't need that much toilet paper. How much are you using?
Right.
Like, even the Charmin bears are like, 2 plies or whatever, you know. How much toilet paper are you using? You do not need that much. This fox right here has to protect this stuff because this is like worth gold at this point. Dude, I watched whenever all this first started, I seen like where a pizza delivery guy actually got paid in Clorox wipes or toilet paper or something like that, and they were cool with it. You could use that to pay for stuff. That was wild. That was like toilet paper Bitcoin.
That's like post-apocalyptic bartering or something like that.
Yeah, man. And that was crazy too. Like, we didn't know how all of this was going to go, and that was another thing too, man. The sensationalism that they
people on Facebook saying they're gonna put in martial law into effect, and it's like, what?
No, Grandma, calm down. It's not that bad.
It wasn't just grandmas. A lot of people, everybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, man. You got to be careful about where you get your news from. See, that's like, I'll look at the stuff that's important that I hear about or whatever. I've got people in my life that are very political, that know what's going on, and I'll just ask them. I'm like, hey, what should I care about? And they'll let me know what's going on. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have to care about Ellen being mean to her employees or something. Well, who cares? Like, I seen this one thing where this is so stupid. There's this one model that I shouldn't say that I don't care about stupid stuff like this, but I do because it's funny. And this is what's wrong with the world, is stories like this that I read about. This woman, it was like a model influencer person, because an influencer is an actual job title nowadays. She married a briefcase. That's a thing you can do now. You can marry inanimate objects or whatever they call it. Yeah.
Well, I remember, it wasn't this year. I don't know when it was. I saw it on YouTube. There was this woman, she like married the ghost of some pirate or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I seen that. You married a ghost.
I think she ended up divorcing it or something like that.
You divorced a ghost.
How do you get its signature? Dude, I don't know.
That's the world is such a confusing place. I'm all for anybody being happy and doing what they want to, but if you marry a ghost, you better be ready for the jokes. Okay, that's something that just comes with it. Love is love, man. Whatever. Yeah. Marry a ghost if you want to, but goodness, this is why aliens don't visit us. Okay, this is exactly why. But I'm excited for 2021. I'm optimistic about the future.
Yep.
And I'm glad that we ended it with somebody like you that has the same exact approach. And I think that people can learn a lot from some of the topics that we talked about. And it's important to not comment on other people's statuses or people that you care about statuses. Give them a phone call.
Yeah.
Call them up. Hear their actual voice. FaceTime. FaceTime's a cool thing. I've been getting into that lately. Well, there's other ways to interact.
Yep. And I mean, I've enjoyed talking about all this stuff too. It's not how I expected it to go, but like I don't claim to have all the answers. Like I've said multiple times today, like there's always something to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm not the wisest person there is, but this is just, I can't see how anybody could argue with positive thinking, you know?
No.
And seems like there oftentimes that's one of those things. Everybody has to have a problem with everything. Like if somebody's a positive thinker, they get called a hippie or something like that. You know.
You know the Lizzo chick?
Yeah.
Apparently she's losing weight now, and
people are mad.
People are mad.
Really?
People are mad about her losing weight. They say it's diet shaming. That happened. Yeah. See, this is why I stopped watching the news. Because I don't need to care about stuff like that. But it's just, it's impossible to make everybody happy. Yeah. You're not going to. Yeah. But I do think that communication is important, even if you're listening to two people like us that definitely do not have any of the right answers or anything.
We're just talking into these microphones.
for some people, for some reason, people are listening, and we thank you. We love you. But I think that communication is very important. We need more of it, more face-to-face, phone call, FaceTime, whatever interaction.
Yeah.
And if you get more of that, you're going to realize that the world isn't as bad as Facebook makes it out to be.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for 2021. I'm excited to go to an actual show. It's going to be such a good feeling, man. I'm ready for the celebration that we're going to, the vibe that's going to be in the air after all of this. That's what I'm so excited about. And it's almost like we can see it at this point.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But why don't you play us out? For the people that can't see right now, you've got a very cool guitar over there. What kind of guitar do you got? Kramer?
Yes, it's a Kramer Night Swan. It's polka dotted.
Is that named after the dude from Seinfeld?
No, I don't even know. I've never watched Seinfeld.
Never watched Seinfeld? Well, that's one. I've watched a few episodes here and there, but yeah, not really. The Office is leaving Netflix.
I never watched The Office either.
Oh man, you'd love The Office. But
I mean, I've watched it, but I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, everybody has what floats their boat. I was that way about a lot of shows. But I liked Ozarks. That was a good thing. Tiger King. That was one of the best things.
I'm watching The Mandalorian right now. So
that I've heard, I don't have Disney Plus, but I've heard nothing but good things. The original Boba Fett, ain't that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, Boba Fett.
Yeah, he passed away the other day.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, another great one that we lost in 2020.
Yeah. Darth Vader, the original actor for Darth Vader, passed too.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Sean Connery. We lost him too. Man, 2020. I'm ready for this year to be over.
Me too, man.
Well, let's end it right. Let's play it out.
Boy.
I don't know. What are you going to play?
I guess I'll just come up with whatever.
Let's do it. That's exciting. Improv. It's beautiful, man. Beautiful, beautiful. Dude, thank you for coming up. Thank you for being the very first guest to start off all of this. I mean, really, man, like you were the Kickstarter. You're the one that got all this going. So I give you a heck of a lot of credit, man. I mean,
I appreciate you having me.
To me, you are one of the best musicians to come out of these hills. Whenever it comes to the rock side, one of the best vocalists to ever do it in this area. And to be as young as you are and nothing but the future ahead of you, man, I'm excited to see where your career goes as well.
That really means a lot.
Always be a fan. I'll always be a friend. And thank you for everything, dude. I hope you have a great 2021.
Thanks, man. You too.
And we hope that all of you out there have one as well. Treat people good. Speak nothing but positivity. Tomorrow is going to be a new year. It's going to be a fresh, blank sheet of paper. Be an artist. Draw whatever you want to on it. Write whatever you want to on it. And know that this isn't going to last forever. And hopefully 2021 will be the beginning of the end to the beginning again. If that makes sense. Yep. I'm stupid.
He said it.
Yeah. But Happy New Year's, everybody. And thank you again, dude.
Thanks.
We'll see you next year, folks. Boom.
Dude, we went forever.
Yeah, that was a...